Here we are in section 4.2 with the answers to numbers 13 through 16. Notice that we are doing rates. We are going to have rate times time equals distance. That's fundamental to what we're going to do. If we have rate and distance, we're going to divide to get time. If we have distance and time, we're going to divide to get rate. So that's going to happen all the time. But you also should note that we are working against a current, maybe wind or a river, and we're also working with it. And this is where our two equations come from. So we'll try to highlight that stuff as we're reading these questions and equations here. Number 13, a motorboat took 1.5 hours to make a 12-mile trip up the river. Now up the river, that means they're going against it. So the 1.5 hours and the 12-mile trip all happen with this. So if we were to write that out, rate times time, 1.5 hours, equals 12. Can you see that dividing? You get rate equals 8. So this guy had an 8-mile, number 13, let's put it over here, against the river. His rate was 8 miles an hour. So we'll come back and write that in just a bit. Now, but only an hour. Now look at this time to come back down. So 1 hour, his rate times 1 hour to give you the 12-mile trip, same distance going up and down, the rate equals 12. So here with the river, so the river helping carry him, he was going faster, which makes total sense, going faster there. So now we look at the equation here. What is the speed of the boat and the speed of the river? Oh, see, now these are the two variables. This little rate times time equals distance just helped us to figure out what's going on a little bit, but let's do it now. Notice that it's the boat when they're working against each other. The boat minus the river is this 8 miles an hour. How fast the boat's going and how fast the river's going. Yeah, that is the boat minus the river working against each other equals 8. And if you take the boat plus the river, that's where you get 12 miles an hour, the boat and the river adding their speeds together. Okay, so what happens when we do that? Well, we have a system of equations. We're in happy math land. We can do this. This is kind of a nice, easy one with elimination. And we get 2b equals 20. So the boat is 10. The boat is 10 miles an hour. And if we stick it back up in there, boat plus what equals 12? Well, that gives us that the river is 2. Yeah, if it's going 10 miles an hour upstream, it will end up going 8 miles an hour, and downstream 12 miles an hour. So the boat goes 10, river goes 2. Great, let's look at number 14 and try a very similar problem there. Okay, so a plane took 3 hours to complete a 360-mile trip while flying into the wind. So into the wind means against the wind. So this is our time against the wind. So again, we do rate times 3 equals 360 miles. That means against the wind, he's getting 120 miles per hour. Now, if we do the other one, coming back, it only took 2 hours. So it's flying with the wind on the way back. It only took 2 hours. So rate times 2 equals 360. That means its rate coming back was 180 miles an hour. So the wind pushed it home while it was fighting against it there. So let's do number 14 right down here and write it down. So against the wind, its rate is 120 miles per hour. And we did a little rate times time equals distance just with those numbers there to get that. And with, we have, let me see, the rate was 180. So we can make two equations out of this. We are asked for specifically speed of the plane, so P, that's going to be one variable, and what is the speed of the wind? So there we go. So let's take against each other. It's the plane speed and it's fighting against the wind speed, so plane minus the wind speed is the 120, and with the wind, plane plus the wind is going to end up being 180. Hey, look at that. That's a system of equations. We're in happy math land. Let's use elimination. If we add these together, the w's go away. 2p equals 300, so p is 150. That means that the plane is going 150 miles per hour, and let's stick it back up in there and see what we get. If we put 150 plus what equals 180, then we get that the wind is 30 miles per hour. So yeah, a little low flying airplane, 150 miles per hour. It's pushing against a 30 mile per hour wind, which slows it down. And then when it has a tailwind of 30 miles per hour, it goes much, much faster against the ground. Excellent. All right, let's try number 15. A motorboat took 2 hours to make an 18-mile trip up the river. That means the river's going against it. So we have time of 2 hours and distance of 18. Let's stop right there. Rate times 2 equals 18. That means going up the river, his speed was 9 miles an hour. Only 1.5 hours coming down. So with it, you've got rate times 1.5 equals 18. Divide by 1.5 and you get r equals 12. Yeah, look at that. So this gives us a system of equations where we have, well, wait, we better find our variables first. Speed of the boat, speed of the river current. Let's use a c this time, just for good measure. So the boat minus the current, flowing against the current, pushing against it, gives us 9 miles an hour. And with it, the boat plus the current equals 12. Excellent, excellent. We have a system of equations. Elimination is set up perfectly. Let's add these together. We get 2b equals 21. Divide by 2 and b is 21 halves. Might be easier to read at 10.5 miles per hour. That's how fast the motorboat goes. And now, if we stick this back up in here, 10.5 plus what equals 12. Subtract that over, and we get C, the current of the river, is 1.5 miles per hour, just slowly meandering. And yeah, if you take 10.5 miles an hour and push against a 1.5 mile an hour current, you'll end up at 9 miles an hour. And if you add them together, flowing down, you're going 12 miles per hour. Excellent, right there. All right, one more. Let's see if we can pick this out. Plane took 4 hours to complete an 1,800-mile trip while flying into the wind. That tells you we're going against it. So let's do a little rate times 4 equals 1,800. Divide by 4 and we get that the rate is 450 miles per hour. Oh yeah, so it's traveling at 450 miles per hour going, that's how fast the plane's going. And then coming back. That means it's flying with the wind this time. It only took 3 hours. Rate times 3 equals distance 1,800. So that means rate is 600 miles per hour. Wow. So this gives us two equations. We highlight what our variables are, plane and wind. So this one tells us that the plane flying against the wind, so plane minus the wind, is at 450. And the plane with the wind pushing behind it, so you add the two speeds together and you get 600. And look at this, we have a beautiful little system of equations that's set up for elimination. Add them together and we get 2p equals 1050, 1050. Divide by 2 and the plane is 525 miles per hour. That's how fast the plane flies. Now if you stick this back up in here, 525 plus what equals 600, subtract that, and you get that the wind speed is 75 miles per hour. A little jet stream up there, very fast wind, very fast jet. So look at that. We have it. And that's rates with and against.